Hi, Tom Whitman here from the HVAC Business Academy. Welcome to the first of several pre-learning segments in preparation for the Replacement Sales Live Learning event coming up within the next few weeks. The sales process is broken down into 6 different simple to understand segments. Number 1 is approach and how to develop a rapport and leave a good first impression with your customer. Number 2 is the wants segment, how to discover what your customer wants and establish a list of goals. Number 3, structural requirements from the home. Evaluating the home, making certain that the customer wants exactly what you're going to be designing. Number 4, the rest of the story. This is where you're able to pick the relevant areas of your company's story and elegantly deliver that to the customer to increase credibility. And then finally, options. Options is where a methodology to present so that the customer is in control of buying and you're in control of the process. Then finally, we're going to equip you as to how to handle different delay responses. What I mean by that is think it over, talk it over, cost too much, other bids, different typical delay responses that you may have, and how to make sure to maximize opportunities. Today's workout is going to focus on the first 2, wants and approach. I'd like for you to download your script for approach and wants and follow along. First step with approach is to create a good first impression and establish a place to work. It would go something like this. You knock on the door, step back, 45-degree angle, make sure you're not looking in and you're not invading your customer's space when they answer the door. Hi, Mrs. Smith. This is Tom from HCS. It's a pleasure to meet you. Is my vehicle parked out of the way? Great. May I come in? Okay. And put on your floor savers, be polite, make sure to respect your customer's property. Is there a tabletop, like maybe a kitchen table I can use as a workstation? Thank you. Okay, step number 1 is finished. So step number 1, we want to make certain that the vehicle is parked out of the way so we don't interrupt any momentum with the sales presentation. Make sure that we don't have to get up and relocate the vehicle. That would be bad. Putting on your floor savers to protect the property shows that you care for the customer and you're responsible. Third, go to a place to work. Take a little bit of control and get to a place to work, maybe a kitchen table, something like that. This is the space you're going to use to prepare their options and review options with your customer for a workstation. And of course, thank you. Then the next step is to find out why they called. It would go something like this. Well, Mrs. Smith, what were you hoping to accomplish by replacing your air conditioner today? That's all you have to ask. Ask a question. Be quiet. Listen. Let your customer respond. Take good notes. This is where you're going to discover what's important to them, the reason they call. You may want to ask some follow-up questions like how, when, why, or where has that been a problem in the past? How long have you been dealing with this? The more you get the customer talking and discussing about their experiences, the better of a professional rapport and breaking of the ice you'll be able to make. And then, this is what the customer needs to hear. Now, Mrs. Smith, we see things like this all the time. I'll have a very good idea of what to do after we assess the situation. Okay? That establishes a little bit of credibility that you're confident in what you do and confident you'll be able to solve those problems. Then we go to step number 3. Step number 3 is establishing the plan. This is where you take a little bit of control and you let the customer know what to expect. Mrs. Smith, I have a plan for our time today. In a moment, I'd like for you to show me around the home. I'll make a list of what you want, and we'll call that a project list. Then I'll inspect your system, take some measurements, calculate the proper equipment size, and put all of your options together. Simple. Establish the plan. Let the customer know what to expect. Now, all of this is in your scripting. It's important for you to understand the steps and why they're important. Step number 4, what determines the price? Mrs. Smith, after that, you and I will work through different options and make adjustments to the project until you're comfortable with the scope of work, the equipment selection, and the price. Once you're comfortable with everything, we can discuss scheduling the work. Okay? Let the customer know that you're going to be asking for the order early. It should be expected, and you need to be able to deliver this with utmost confidence. Step number 5, time commitment. Very, very important. The next step. Now, Mrs. Smith, this is probably going to take about 60 to 90 minutes. Are we okay on time? Now, sometimes the customer is going to say, I only have 45 minutes. I only have a half an hour. At that point, you may want to say, well, how about I gather as much information as I can? When would be a good time for me to come back to revisit all of the options with you? If they don't have time, if they don't have the time to properly review the options with you, it's best not to deliver the price. But you want to respect the customer's time while you're there and do as much work for them as you can while you're there and reschedule the rest of the call before you leave. Number 6, transitioning to the customer wants. The next section is to make it real, very simple. Mrs. Smith, to make sure I don't miss anything that's important, I'll just need to ask you a few questions.